Isolation by J Drew Brumbaugh. Read by Jerry Lord. I wake up in my wheelchair, groggy from the meds I take now and then to fight the pain in my back. After a few minutes trying to figure out how long I've been asleep, I pick up the remote and turn on the TV. Nothing happens. The little light comes on, but there's no picture, no sound. Then I remember I couldn't pay the cable bill, and it was shut off, the internet too. My son Peter would probably pay for them if I asked, but he's got enough troubles of his own, not the least of which is paying his own bills. It has been a while since I have been without the cable or internet. In some ways, I hardly miss them, preferring to read a good book. My cell phone still works, I think, although the cheap-ass plan I have has glitches that make calling on it a real chore sometimes. Thank God for the landline. The Meals on Wheels person should have been here yesterday, but never showed up. Unless they left the food on the porch while I was asleep. Most of the time, I don't mind being alone, but I was looking forward to their visit. What has happened to the world outside? I shut off the TV, put down the remote, and roll into the kitchen. The counters are spaced far enough apart, so even in this darn wheelchair, I can easily get around. I open the fridge. Not much in there. Milk, bag of carrots, couple of eggs, some lunch meat, and a loaf of bread. I never have alcohol. I am an alcoholic, though I haven't had a drink since I crashed my car and ended up in this chair. That was over 20 years ago. The painful memory never goes away, and neither does the regret. I lived. Maybe that's my punishment. The woman in the other car did not. My son Peter takes care of most things around here, but I haven't seen him or got a call in a couple of days. When he stops by, he usually stays for a couple of hours, cooks me something frozen, cleans up a little, and brings groceries and staples that are above and beyond what social services provide. More than once I've thought of asking him to pay my cable bill, but I know he's struggling financially, and as long as my Social Security pays the mortgage and electric, I'll get by. I do miss Peter, and I decide to call him again. It rings, but no answer, and this time the synthesized voice tells me that Peter's mailbox is full. Hanging up, I wonder what the hell is going on. Peter doesn't let his voice messages just sit there. That's not like him at all. There must be something catastrophic going on for his message box to be full. Sunshine streaming through my front window tells me there's nothing wrong with the world. It must be something going on in Peter's life. I go back to the fridge, grab the bread and luncheon meat, and cram together a sandwich of sorts. Something is definitely wrong with Peter, but I can't figure out how to get to the bottom of things when I can't get a hold of him. Chewing on a bite of sandwich, I consider going outside. I haven't been outside in several weeks. For a while it was too cold. Then, as it warmed up, it began raining, and that went on for several days. Since the rain stopped, nobody has been by, and I don't like trying to go out on my own because the screen door wants to shut in my face. If someone holds it open, I can get through easily. It doesn't look like anyone will be coming to open the door. I finish my sandwich and roll over to it. I open the inner door, which swings in and stays dutifully open. I ease my way right up next to the storm door, turn the handle, and shove it open. Bang! It slams shut. I open it again with one hand, leaning out to hold it open with my shoulder, and then using my other hand, I crank the main wheel on my chair forward and inch through the opening. I bounce down onto the porch. Once on the porch, I let the door slam shut behind me. There, I think I beat you. A warm breeze blows across my face. Sunshine streams down on the yard, grass growing like weeds, and the flower beds overrun with actual weeds. The trees lining the street are summer green, leaves fluttering in the breeze. Scattered puddles dot the yard, and I can see wet spots on the pavement. Well, at least it isn't raining now. Scanning the neighborhood, I notice that not a single soul is outside. I cock my head, listening. Birds chirping in the trees, a dog barks in the distance, but no cars. Yikes! How can that be? The house is close enough to the interstate that usually the noise from the constant flow of traffic is a pain. Now, even that's gone. For a moment, I'm overwhelmed by a sense of isolation. I am used to being alone in my house, but today, it seems I'm alone, period. I put that thought out of my mind and settle into a more comfortable spot in the wheelchair. Careful not to go too fast, I roll down the wooden ramp my son built for me a couple of years ago. Effortlessly, I get onto the sidewalk that leads to the street, and still I haven't seen anyone. Using both hands now, I wheel myself out to the main sidewalk and turn right to head for the corner. The little mom-and-pop shop that's there is the one store I get to regularly. They'll know what is going on, and while I'm there, I'll pick up something else to eat. Except I forgot my wallet. I consider going back inside for it, decide it's too much work, and continue toward the corner. When I reach the store, I am surprised to find the door closed and the windows boarded up. Where are the owners? Why are they closed in the middle of the day? Something's not right. They're always open. Cautiously, I roll closer to the front door until I can reach it. Trying the handle, it's locked. I pound on the door. "Hey, Rich!" I call out. Nobody answers. I hammer on the door again. "Rich, are you there?" I ask, thinking maybe he's in the back storeroom. Still no answer. No noise of any kind. I swivel around in the wheelchair and look up and down the street. Not a soul in sight. Hardly any cars either. Usually, the driveways on this residential street look like there's some kind of convention going on. Not today. It's beginning to bother me. Where is everyone? I look over at the dirt dike that runs parallel to the street behind my house and separates the neighborhood from the canal. I wonder how high the water is on the other side after all the rain. I can't see over the grass-covered mound, so shrug and turn back to the store. I move as close to the door as I can get. Leaning over, careful not to tip the chair over, I put up one hand to shade my eyes to look in through the glass. Everything looks normal. Shelves neatly stocked, fruit bins full of bananas and apples, counters covered with stuff for sale, but the lights are off and it is eerily quiet. The cash register sits ominously silent. "Rich!" I yell again. "Look, I need a few things. Can you just open up?" When there's no answer, I give up. Rich must not be there. I roll back out to the sidewalk and turn for home. On the way, I notice some serious, low, black clouds streaming toward me from the south. A gust of wind rattles the stop sign on the corner and nearly pushes me over. I hang on to my wheelchair with both hands until the air calms down. I look up and watch the dark line of clouds swirling angrily, surging toward me. With an eye on the clouds, I hurry home as fast as I can. This time I open the storm door, lean over and set the stop so it'll stay open. As the porch is lower, I can reach the catch when I'm outside, but not when I'm in the house. With that taken care of, I manage to pop a wheelie and get inside. I yank the inside door shut just as a wind gust rattles the windows. I sit for long minutes in front of my living room window and watch as the wind grows steadily stronger, bending the trees that line the street. The sun falls behind an impenetrable bank of clouds. It gets so dark that I have to turn on the lights. The fridge clicks on, and the soft whir of the motor somehow is comforting. I brew up a pot of coffee and take down the book I've been reading, War Party, and sit for a while in the living room, reading and drinking coffee. At some point, I fall asleep. I don't know how much later it is. I wake up as the wind rips my storm door off its hinges and sends it tumbling down the street. I hear the glass in the aluminum door shatter as it bounces across the asphalt. I shouldn't have left that open, I think. But it's too late now. It's dark. My lights are out, and even the night light that stays on in the bathroom is out. Power failure, I realize, and wonder when that happened. Outside, the wind is howling like a banshee, and rain is pounding against my windows with a force that seems destined to break the panes. This is no ordinary thunderstorm. What the hell is going on, I wonder? I'm afraid to move because I can't see anything, and I'm afraid to stay near the windows in case they do blow out. I decide to try to get in the hallway that leads back to the bedroom. It'll be tricky because I know somewhere between here and there is a table that I can't see. Gently, I move my wheelchair forward, waiting to bump into the table. Sure enough, I only go a few feet before my footrest hits the damn thing. I don't hit it hard, so no damage to either me or the table. I swivel the chair until I am parallel with the table and can lay one hand on the tabletop. Using the hand on top of the table as a guide, I inch the wheelchair forward with my other hand until I reach the end of it. There's a tremendous crash from outside, followed by a shrill screech and a second crash. I freeze, but hear only the howling wind and pelting rain. I get around the table and gently roll toward where I know the hallway is. I bump into the wall, pivot a little bit to the right, try again and find the opening. With a sigh of relief, I glide into the hallway. Feeling a little more secure between interior walls, I stop and rest. My breath coming in gulps. I don't know how long I remain huddled in my wheelchair in the hallway. The rain continues to come in waves, lashing the house hard enough to make the structure shiver. I begin to think that the dike will soon be breached if it doesn't stop raining. There's nothing I can do about it. I'm getting hungry, but don't dare leave the hallway. A damp chill begins to take over the house. Now, I wish I had a long-sleeved shirt on, but I'm not going to try to find anything in the dark. I'm so tired, and my back is killing me again. I fumble in my pocket and fish out my pill bottle. In the dark, I manage to get the darn child-proof cap off and shake out one of the painkillers into the palm of my hand. I swallow it. Dry. It scratches its way down my throat, and soon my back pain subsides. After that, I finally fall asleep again. At some point, I wake up. It's still raining, maybe even harder than before. The wind howls. I think I hear shingles blowing off my roof. Somewhere toward the front of the house, I hear water dripping. Crap! The roof is probably leaking. I wish the sun would come up so at least I could see something. Maybe then I could put a pan under the drip. Things only get worse. It's still pitch black, and though my eyes have had plenty of time to adjust, I can hardly make out anything. And then I hear it, water rushing outside. Not like trickles. This is serious, and I realize the dikes have failed. A wall of water slams into the side of the house, nearly knocking it off its foundation. Bad. Even worse is the water that rushes in under the front door, swirling and splashing in the living room and kitchen. My eyes bulge in fear. How high will the water get? Almost immediately, it's a foot deep and rising. I force my way back into the living room against the surge of water coming under the door. As the water continues to spout up like a miniature fountain, my butt realizes that it has reached the seat on my chair. I have to get somewhere higher, or I'm going to die right here in this wheelchair. But where? I can't open the door and go outside. The water pressure would sweep me away in an instant. I roll over toward the kitchen counters, bouncing off unseen furniture as I go. Eventually, I feel the cupboard handles and stop next to the counter. It's the only spot in the house higher than my chair. I put both hands on the countertop and push up. Fortunately, I have pretty strong arms and manage to drag my useless legs up onto the counter. The water continues to rise. Now what? If it gets too high, I'll drown. There's no place else to go. Huddled on the counter, I say prayers that I forgot I knew. God never figured in my life since the accident. I couldn't understand how any God would let me live and take the woman in the other car. A sense of loneliness consumes me. I long for companionship, an ear to hear my final words. If this was to be my end, I wanted at least to make sure that the universe knew I was sorry, really sorry. There's no one to tell how I feel. The water keeps rising until it is lapping an inch over the countertop. It creeps up a little higher, and I think again that I'm going to die trapped right here alone. Then it stops rising. I sit for a long time, soggy up to my waist, but alive. Eventually, the wind begins to die down and the rain slackens. I am afraid to hope that the worst is over, so I remain on the counter for a while, and then I wait a little longer. I notice faint light coming in through the windows in the front room. It must be morning. The water drops a little, leaving the countertop damp, but no longer underwater. I have fine brown silt all over me. My jeans are definitely ruined. My counters and the sink are now covered in brown paste. I hate to think of the mess that'll need to be cleaned up. Right now, I just breathe. A sigh of relief. It takes a while before I accept that the storm is gone. Leaning over the edge of the countertop, I look down. The water has dropped even more, and now it appears to be only a foot or so deep in my living room. My wheelchair is on its side, laying right below where I am sitting. Somehow, I need to get it upright and get back in it. I slither down off the counter, landing in the water with an uncontrolled splash. Sitting in the cold water, feeling the squishy carpet on my butt, I grabbed the chair with both hands and managed to get it upright. I clamber up into it, turn the wheelchair around, and make my way to the front window. Pushing the soggy curtains aside, I am surprised by how heavy waterlogged curtains can be. I look out onto the street. It's a mess. There are tree limbs, and even a couple of big trees down. The street is a river, with water up over the curbs in some spots. Power lines crisscross the pavement like spaghetti. I see an old pickup truck that I don't recognize lying on its side in the neighbor's front yard. I feel like I've survived the apocalypse. Maybe I have. I still don't see a single person. I check my cell phone. No service. I pick up the landline, which fortunately hangs on the wall high enough that it didn't get wet. I smile, listening to the dial tone. I hit redial and listen to the beeps as it dials my son's phone. It rings twice before he answers. Hello? I recognize Peter's voice immediately. Peter, I gasp. Where are you? Where is everybody? Dad? He asks, as if he doesn't believe it's me. What are you doing at home? Well, where else would I be? I realize he's recognized the landline phone number. The sheriff told me that you were evacuated with everyone else on the street. Evacuated? I don't know about any evacuation. I do know it rained really hard here for a while. I couldn't help wondering if I'd slept through the sheriff's visit because the drugs had me out cold. Oh, my God, Dad, you've been at home all this time? Yes, and it hasn't been much fun, I can tell you that. I'm so sorry. You should have called me. I did, several times. You didn't answer. There's a long pause on the other end. I forgot my cell phone in my house when they told us to evacuate, and I've only just got it back this morning. So, what is this all about? Why were you told to evacuate? Dad, it was a hurricane. Hurricane Stephanie. She was a monster. How did they miss you? I have no idea what you're talking about. But can you please come get me in the van? I'm wet, it's cold, and I can't even make coffee. Sure, Dad. I'll be there in a half an hour. I'm so sorry. The sheriff's office said everyone was evacuated to the arena downtown, and I just took their word for it. I was going to go down to the arena to get you this afternoon. Now, I'll just come to the house. Fine. I hope you can get through. The street has a lot of junk blocking the way, and there are power lines down everywhere. Don't worry, Dad. I'll be careful. Just sit tight until I get there. I'll be here. House is a wreck, though. I don't know what I'm going to do. Don't worry about that. FEMA will be getting things back in order soon. I laughed. FEMA. They still hadn't finished cleaning up from the hurricane we had 4 years ago. Oh, well, I guess I'll be staying with Peter for a while. Things could be worse.